the triangular wave. Let us find the frequency and amplitude of our triangular wave. Okay. So initially minus Vrams plus R2 by R2 plus R3, because we used only two resistors R2 and R3, and into plus V saturation minus Vram. Okay. So in this condition the effective voltage is 0. Okay. So that the signal is written as minus Vram plus R2 by R2 plus R3 plus V saturation. Again this signal is here equal to 0. Okay, wow. Then we just change the value, like this this signal is written here and this signal is written here. The common term of Vram is taken as here, so that Vram of minus 1 plus R2 by R2 plus R3, that is equal to, so this signal is directed as other side, so that it goes to negative, so that minus R2 by R2 plus R3 into plus V saturation. So after that the signal is written here, that is taken LCM here, so that minus R2 minus R3 plus R2 by R2 plus R3 and equal to the same signal written here. So in this condition, this minus R2 and plus R2 will be negated, so that minus Vram equal to this minus is written here, sorry, this minus is written here, so minus Vram of R3 by R2 plus R3 equal to same signal written here. Okay. Now we will find the minus Vram signal, so minus Vram equal to this signal is written here, so that minus R2 by R2 plus R3, so it's proportional R2 by R2 plus R3 by R3 into plus V saturation. So in this condition, this R2 by R3 and this R2 by R3 will be negated. So the Vram output is written after the cancellation minus Vram equal to minus R2 by R3 into plus V saturation. So same as this plus Vram. So plus Vram equal to minus R2 by R3 into minus saturation. So our output, that is our output V0 is equal to plus Vram, means this output, minus Vram means so this saturation. Okay. So this is the ramp output of both integrated, positive and negative. Okay. So this is the formula for peak to peak value of our triangular wave. So peak to peak value means that is nothing but an amplitude. Okay. So amplitude means the peak. So the positive peak and negative peak is an amplitude. So the positive peak and negative peak is written here. So V0 peak to peak equal to plus Vram minus Vram. We know the value of plus Vram and minus Vram. So it's written here for plus Vram minus R2 by R3 into minus V saturation minus of R2 by R3 into, that is minus R2 by R3 into plus V saturation here. Okay. So next condition is, so this minus and this minus written here as a positive, as well as this minus and this minus written here as a positive. So that this R2, it goes to positive, right? So this R2 plus R2 is written as a 2R. R3 and R3 is same, so that written as R3. Of V, this saturation also goes to positive. So V saturation and V saturation means, so only one V saturation. So the V0 peak to peak value is 2R2 by R3 into V saturation. So this is the value of our amplitude. So firstly we found out the amplitude value here. Lastly we just calculate the frequency value. Okay. So next one is our integrated output. So V0 peak to peak equal to minus 1 by R1 C1 integral of 0 to T by 2 of minus V saturation dt, because in that minus saturation only the Vram goes to the rising edge, right? So that the positive signal, it goes to the negative to positive, that's why we taken minus V saturation here. So it written as, this is the constant term, so it written here, so minus into minus goes to plus, so plus V saturation by R1 and C1 integral of T by 2 of 1 dt. So it's considered as T. So this value is written here, V saturation by R1 C1 of T by 2. It is written as V So now the V0 peak to peak value of this our integrated output is V saturation by 2R1 into C1 of T. This is our integrated output of triangular wave generator. For that signal, we just find out the T value. By using that T value, we will find out the frequency value. Okay. The calculation, the T is written here and the V not written here. So T equal to 2R1C1 by V saturation of V naught peak to peak. We know the value of V naught peak to peak. So that is 2R2 by R3 into V saturation. Okay. So now this V saturation and V saturation will be cancelled. So after that we write it as 2 plus 2 is 4. So 4R1 R2 into C1 divided by R3. It is our T value. By using this T value, we will find out the frequency of oscillation. Frequency of oscillation, that is written here F0. Okay, that is F0. So F0 equal to 1 by T. Normally we know that frequency is the reciprocal of time. So time is the reciprocation of frequency, right? So F0 equal to 1 by T. So it is written as R3 by 4 R1 R2 into C1. So this is the frequency value of this triangular wave generator and the amplitude value is 2 R2 by R3 into V saturation. Okay. So this is the conclusion of this triangular wave generation. Thank you.